Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another Lockdown Live. It's been almost a week since the last one. Yeah, tomorrow it is a week. Last week I had some technical issues where the program didn't want to work and I couldn't get online at time and we were half an hour late, but everything's sorted now. So far, so good. So, right, today I'm chatting to a gentleman by the name of Christopher Larson, and we met probably just over 2 years ago on a photography outing I held one afternoon with Camera Land here in Cape Town. And I knew that he was working on some really cool projects, and I followed him ever since. And he's got a very cool Instagram account that we're going to chat about. Yeah, let's hear what he was up to over the last 2 years. Hey, Christopher.
Hey, Dewald.
How are you?
Yeah, doing great. Super excited to connect with you again. I can't believe it's been so long. But
yeah, no, it's been very, very long.
Yeah, but doing well. I'm currently in Germany, in Berlin, and looks like the coronavirus and COVID is hopefully on the way down and out. So that's been good. So things are finally starting to open up a little bit here. How are you guys doing?
No, we're good. We're good. I believe Germany has also been. They weren't as stringent because I've had two other guests on from Germany and had a good chat to them about everything, and it wasn't that bad as it was here. In terms of the lockdown itself. So yeah, I know Germany had everything under control from quite early on, and looking at it, the way it is now, is that everything might have been an overkill from the beginning.
Yeah, it's one of those, like, it's hard to say whether it was overkill or who knows, whether it'd end up like the US. Like, I think that, yeah, I mean, I guess I would prefer to be where we are now and have had a bit more overkill in the beginning, me personally. But yeah, crazy times nonetheless, no matter, like, yeah.
Yeah, no, it is absolutely crazy. But talking about the US, they're sitting with a whole bunch of other problems. But are you're originally from the States?
Yeah, exactly. From Colorado, okay. Born and raised.
Cool stuff. Would you mind just sharing a little bit of your background? You're from and those kind of things, just so that everybody, including myself, background a little bit better.
Yeah, for sure. So born and raised in the US, lived in like the same house until I was 16, pretty much, in Denver, Colorado. And at that point, I have a twin brother and an older sister, and my twin brother and I played ice hockey, and we got the opportunity to play in Canada. And that's when my love for traveling really started to kick in. So from 16 to 20, my brother and I, we played hockey in Canada. This is ice hockey. Sometimes I forget my audience. So we played in Canada for 2 years, and then New York and Oregon. And then, I decided to hang up the skates. Felt like it was time to move on. And then after that, I spent 2 years in Armenia, did my undergraduate degree in Russian and spent time in Russia, and studied some Turkish as well in Istanbul. And so it's kind of when, like, my love of travel and exploring the world really began to take off. And when we met, I was working on a documentary called Mobile Africa. It's focusing on innovation and entrepreneurship. And that's when I was living in the UK for 2 years, studying, doing master's programs there. And then met a German girl almost 3 years ago now, and found myself in Berlin. And so, yeah, it's a bit of overview about me. As far as like camera goes and like all like my shooting and everything, got my first like DSLR when I was in 2012, so 8 years ago. And I was lucky enough to have a really talented photographer there. When I went to Russia the first time, that's why I got the camera. And he kind of taught me the ropes on manual. And then from there, it's been Yeah, YouTube videos and shooting and just kind of learning and loving it and growing with it, and to the point now where that's where I'm pushing to be my sole focus. So
Cool. I want to chat about your ice hockey, because I didn't know
yeah.
you. And from what I remember from you, you're not a very big built guy. So how did you fit into the whole ice hockey thing? Because I know that is a mean sport.
Yeah. Well, my body's changed a lot actually over the last 10 since I stopped playing. So, geez, it's almost been 12 years now. So back then, when I was playing as a 16-year-old, I weighed 175 pounds, which was roughly 76, 77 kilos.
Yeah, 80 kilos, I would say.
Yeah, closer to 80 kilos then. By the time I was 18, I was about 90 kilos or so, 90,
Sure.
90, yeah, 90, 95 kilos. And yeah, since I stopped playing, like without the training and the eating 8,000 calories a day, like I've stabled out around 76, 77 kilos. So I'm much skinnier and much smaller than I was back then.
I know that's what we as South Africans know about ice skating is dangerous. There's an ice skating rink in Cape Town, and as kids we went there a couple of times, and I'm talking now a good 23 years ago. The last time I was I'm lying. Good 20 years last time I was on the ice, and I said there's easier ways to injure yourself than to get onto ice skates.
Yeah, that is for sure, and it's quite easy to injure yourself once you're on ice skates. So,
I could never do it. I could never leave the edge. I was like crawling along.
Yeah.
And you get into all these kids whizzing by. I didn't like it at all. No,
yeah. Yeah, I get that. No, I've been working with my nieces to get them. My brother and I have been working with my nieces to get them out on skates. And it's a lot of coaching and following and like encouraging, and they're younger though, so it's easier when they're younger. They don't quite remember the pain of falling as you do when you're a little bit older.
Okay. And how did you get into the ice skating thing? Because I know America, there's other sports that's way bigger than ice skating in the States itself.
Yeah. So naturally started playing basketball when I was little. My dad had played just recreation basketball, and my mom would sit. I mean, we have videos from when my brother and I were 3, 4, and she'd sit with her arms as a hoop, and we'd be throwing the basketball into her arms. And so that's kind of where my like athletic life started. And my dad comes from South Dakota, which is pretty cold. And he would play on like rivers and lakes and stuff like that when he was younger, but no one in my family ever really played ice hockey. And but we had a semi-professional team in Denver when I was 6 or 7, and my parents would take us to a couple of games, and that was kind of all it took. I don't honestly remember there being I don't remember that moment when I was like, I want to play hockey. But from the time I was 6, 7, started skating, started playing a little bit more, but it was all outside roller hockey. Didn't actually start playing ice hockey till I was 14. But then we had a professional team come in 1996 when I was 8, and they won the league. They won the championship. And so then when you're an 8-year-old little boy and you're just getting into hockey and there's all the excitement around this NHL team, this hockey team, that was kind of the tipping point. So started to focus on ice hockey then at 14. And so quit basketball, quit other sports, and ice hockey became like the primary focus. And then 16, got an opportunity to go play in Canada and never looked back.
And when you went to play in Canada, was it for a college or was it more professional?
This was like a private, it was a hockey academy. So we went to a public school, but our days looked, we'd wake up at 6:30. We had an hour and a half on the ice from 7 to 8:30. Showed up to school for the 10 o'clock class. So we missed the first class every day of school. And then we worked out after school, and we had ex-professional coaches and trainers. And so the goal of this school was to develop you as like an ice hockey player. That was the whole purpose. And since then, when we went there, the school was probably 3 or 4 years old. And so we were some of the early ones there, but now they've got like multiple NHLers in the professional leagues. And so they've quite grown and expanded since then.
Okay. And is ice hockey a lucrative sport to be playing in the States?
So there's 600 NHL players roughly, I think, and that's not very many considering how many people all over the world play it. And if you make it in the NHL, it's quite lucrative. Otherwise, no. I think, I don't think it's worth the bodily damage and everything that your body goes through. That's, now having to deal with, like, my brother's had 3 shoulder surgeries since then. We both had like concussions and head problems. And so I don't think that the injuries quite make any kind of money that you can make worth it. But unless you're like a professional. So.
Yeah. In South Africa, if you ask any South African that's my age and a couple of years younger, what do they know about ice hockey? They'll tell you they know about the Mighty Ducks. That's it.
Yeah, that's good marketing. That's good
That's
marketing.
an awesome movie.
Yeah. I mean, all 3 of them, right?
Yeah, it was awesome movies. Yeah. I tried to show it to my kids the other day, and they said, "No, this is boring. I don't want to watch this."
Yeah, it's a little different now. It's probably like 460 or something like that quality. And I watched it again, as I've gotten older, and like, they weren't good hockey players, but somehow the movie was really good. So it inspired generations.
Yeah, and it's the other movies from the same time is like Cool Runnings.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, my kids love Cool Runnings. They've watched that a good couple of times, which is it's an awesome movie anyway.
Yeah, Cool Runnings it has it all. It's funny. It's a good story. So yeah.
Yeah. So on your projects that you do, tell me a little bit. I know that you did that one with the communications and the entrepreneurship in Africa kind of thing. Mm-hmm. What happened with that?
Yeah, so we're still working on that actually. Okay. Yeah, so we got back from the original filming, which finished in September of 2017. We got back, we started going through all the material and all the editing, and we ended up doing a Kickstarter campaign. Through the Kickstarter campaign, we ended up finding a corporate sponsor, and we went back in October of 2018 to Lagos through the corporate sponsor to do some more filming. And since then, it's just been like everything's on the editing table. And there's been some life changes that have happened since, with me moving to Germany and Scott, my co-producer, having to move back to the US, and those things have kind of delayed the project. But the last six months or so, it's been like full on focus on getting this out there. So story's still in the works.
Okay, I've got a couple of questions about those kind of projects, because I know there's a lot of people out there that would love to combine their traveling with creating an income. How did you? Okay, the straight up question is, how do you make money with these things?
Yeah.
And actually, how did you get started? How did you find the initiative and figure out how much you must charge? And I'm curious about that side of things.
Yeah. So I would say that I became quote unquote a professional photographer in 2016. That's when I first started getting paid. And that was more like lifestyle commercial type projects. And the travel side of things was always just kind of a passion, and photography since I started in 2012, has always been kind of a passion. And to be honest, it's always been quite scary to make that jump from passion, hobby to professional to this is my sole income. And I'm still making that jump right now. But so there's different aspects. So right now I have revenue streams for travel purposes through a company called Trip Savvy and Backpack Flags. They're kind of like two sponsors. Trip Savvy is it's kind of like a TripAdvisor, the Culture Trip type website where they publish articles and they need photos. And I sent out an application to be a freelance photographer with them. And I had actually forgot that I did that. And all of a sudden I got like a test shoot in Berlin, and then I was onboarded. And so that's one way that I have started making money while traveling. The second way is then to find corporate sponsors and corporate people that are there. So if you can find hotels, local businesses, experience providers, things like that, where you can then say, this is my offering, this is what I do, and this is how I can improve your visual appearance and the story that you tell your customers and potential customers. Then that's another kind of revenue stream. And then for like projects like documentaries, that the funding has come from totally random places that I would have never expected. So for Mobile Africa, we got funding from a corporate that they work with telecoms essentially, and they paid for photos and videos, basically our raw stuff, coming back. So while we were shooting our own documentary, our own project, we were working on ways to get money, and that was one of them. And then once we had enough content, then we were able to go out to other corporate sponsors and say, this aligns with what you guys are doing. This is how we think that this could benefit you. And, here's some of the videos that we put together. Do you want to be a part of our project? And if they said yes, then it became more of the how much, what do they get out of it, etc.
Okay, so that first corporate sponsor that you get, they say, okay, right, we're going to pay you X amount of money, but we want a certain number of images that we can use for marketing and videos as well, and then that funds your documentary. So is the documentary like a passion project that you wanted to do, or is it also something that's being commissioned by an organization?
Yeah, so that documentary was a passion project. And recently started another one here in Berlin that is also a passion project. I've actually spoken with a number of different people about this recently since Corona, is the virtual world, I think, especially for photographers, is kind of taking off. And there's benefits and downsides to doing like passion projects versus having like commissioned work. And one of the benefits of the passion project is that you own the story and you tell it exactly how you want to. And if you're creative, then you can use your travel and use your story to then make you money in other ways, be it through corporate sponsorships or finding local businesses, things along the way that you can do work for. And then if, for larger commissioned work, you're obviously then at their, you're telling the story that they want to tell. And I think that that's just something to be aware of. And I think the money will definitely be potentially better with most commissioned work. You'll definitely make and have the potential to make more money unless you're super creative with how you go about commercial work while you're doing it. But those are kind of two different ways, I guess, of funding.
But if like you come into Cape Town now to shoot whatever project it is that you're working on, and you started contacting businesses, what stops them from turning around and say, well, I've got Mrs. Jones, who's my neighbor, who does photos as well, I would rather use her. So I presume you've got to knock on a lot of doors when you get to a place to get some work coming in as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're always going to face like competition, especially if you're traveling, local competition and if you're traveling to places where you don't know the language, etc., that adds like a whole separate layer of difficulty. For me, though, I think that if A, it's how you pitch what you're doing, and B, it's the quality and the creativity that you provide. So, I think all of our goals as photographers, maybe I'm just speaking for myself, is to provide something unique, something new, something, whether that's, coloring, whether that's composition, whatever it may be, but that's kind of like your goal. And I think if you can do that and you can learn your trait and learn kind of your niche really well, then that's a pretty good selling point. Yeah, and then the other side of it is, I don't know, when I go about this, it's not necessarily about pitching like, a pack of 50 photos or something like that.
Yes.
It's pitching a whole entire improvement and a new look. And so you're basically saying like, this is how I envision, how you could be, or how I think, one alternative. And this is how I would do it. This is how I've done it in the past. So obviously you have to be able to show them some work. Yes. And so you then kind of pitch them a vision and go from there.
Okay. Well, I'm always curious in these kind of things, because you see all these Instagram rock stars traveling all over the world, and people on beaches and living the high life, but how do they fund it? Yes, I know a lot of the stuff that they do is probably it's trade for agreements.
Yeah.
I'll create some content for your lodge, and you give me 2 nights of accommodation with a couple of plates of food, and that's it. But I'm always curious to know, because obviously at the end of the day, you still got bills to pay, you've got plane tickets to pay, and customs and visas and all that kind of stuff. So that's why I'm always curious about these things.
Yeah, and I think that we're like, thanks to I personally don't offer like, I want a free service for my like talents or my work or whatever. Just because I think that businesses, from what I've seen and what I've read, is that like they're tired of being contacted by influencers. So I think that, business, what I've seen and what I'm finding is that businesses respond better to like actual business transactions, where you're not just giving them like 3 shout outs on your Twitter, or 2 posts in your feed and a story for like 3 nights, what would 350, 400 euros or whatever worth of time and money that they put into it for like nothing. But you're adding content for their website, you're adding content for their YouTube, and you can build these things out. So if you are a good developer as well with websites, you can offer like stack on things like redesign. You can offer to optimize SEO and copyright. So depending on like, where all of your skills lay, you can approach them from like a holistic perspective.
I'm trying to do that with my general work with my clients that I work with now, is to offer them more. I've teamed up with some great people, and that's exactly what we do. So we go to them and say, I can do photos and I can shoot video. We've got a guy that can edit the video and make it look beautiful for you. And Louise can do all the copy and text. She's a journalist by trade. So we can tie in everything. And with WordPress, you can put a pretty nice looking website for a guy together in a couple of days. If you've got the copy and you've got images, which I then go and create, you can put something very, very nice together for them at the end of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that that's like one thing that I've been learning is like upsell. So for like a very salesy term, I got just reached out to from Instagram about somebody who was looking for some content for an event that they're putting on. And I'd been to Luxembourg and I'd shot some stuff from Luxembourg, and he asked for 3 photos, and I ended up selling him 6 photos and a 45-second video. Because I was like, hey, this could be cool too if you were able to reach people with a video, and I have the content, we could work together on the process. And so I think that certainly helps if you can offer more things. Obviously you need to feel comfortable, and like trust yourself. But if you can offer more things, then I think that makes it an even more attractive package.
And that video that you put together for him, obviously you have the raw footage of different clips that you shot all over the place. Did he give you a specific look and feel? I said, listen, I want something that's got some action, will grab the attention, make it look pretty for me, and then you put it together in some sort of template, I would presume.
Yeah, exactly. So there was a lot of feedback on, I mean, this was pretty much just like drone work. And so I put together a rough cut of the drone and sent it to him for like overall like flow without any music. We're just talking visually. And then from there, he was like, okay, I think I want this music. We want this kind of text. We want things to look like this. And then he sent me a couple of example videos of kind of a style that he liked. Okay. And then, we went back and forth on, how the finished product will then look. So.
Nice. And if I may ask, what was your final price to the client? If you feel free to disclose that, it's totally up to you.
Yeah. So, for that, so like my standard, what I generally charge for like a 1-minute video or something, like just the editing part of it, not the shooting or any of it, it's about $300. Okay. That's what I've started out doing, and as I'm getting better, like prices, like I'm raising prices, and as I'm getting more and more clients, then you start to raise your prices. For shooting, I'll charge about 600 euros per day, and then that will include, depending on who the client is and things, that'll include, X number of photos. And, if there's video on top of that, then, there's extra charges that are added onto it. But
it's always good to know, because that works out roughly to about the same as what we charge in South Africa. Now, before the South African rand took a tank with this whole COVID-19 thing, it's the going rate for a full day's shoot is looking at about between 8.5 and 10,000 rand roughly, which equates to roughly about what you're charging on that side.
Yeah, and I mean, that's one of the things you certainly have to know your markets and understand. For me, it's been like an exploration process as well, and that's the pricing, to be totally honest, is something that I think I have struggled with, and I think a lot of other photographers have struggled with as well.
I feel like struggle with his price is not doing it right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that I have always been the type that will undersell myself, not from a talent or creativity perspective, but from a pricing perspective. And that's something that I've been working hard on. And, once you charge what you want to charge at the time being, and then, you get a client that says, yeah, okay, then that kind of gives you the confidence, okay, that's fair. There wasn't any pushback. And so
I've got a philosophy in how I charge my clients, as I say, is that you can always go cheaper. You can never go more expensive.
Yeah.
So if the way I see it is that if let's talk in euros and dollars terms, if you charge a client $500 for a full day and he turns around and says, oh man, it's a little bit expensive, my budget's only $400. Then it's up to you to circle around. I'm fine with $400. But if you quote him $300 and he was prepared to spend $400, he's winning $100 at the end of the day. So that's how I've gone into a lot of my stuff, and I would say most of the time the people that accept my quotes is they will accept it at the price that I quote them.
Yeah.
And it's very few and far between that they would come and say, listen, is there any way that then I would say, right, I'll charge you the same, but I'll include my traveling, for instance.
Yeah.
That kind of feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
So your Instagram account has got a very interesting handle, and we spoke briefly about that the time we met.
Yeah.
the man with the flag bag.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, that actually was not, I didn't come up with that. I first started putting flags on my bag in 2000, on a backpack, just like a normal travel school backpack in 2015. And it started out with just like the places that I lived. I don't know, I'd always liked flags. I don't know if it's like the colors or whatever, but I've always liked flags and maps. I can't explain why. And I was in New York City walking the streets, and I found a guy who had these really nice looking flags, and they were like $2 a piece. And so I lived in 5 different countries at that point. And so I just was like, all right, yeah, cool. And they have them all. Strangely, had an Armenian flag, which you don't necessarily is not the most popular country. And so I put them on my backpack, and yeah, I generally got like fairly good feedback. And there's
it becomes almost like a bumper sticker that people say,
yeah,
and then it's a conversation starter. Somebody might say, "Oh, well, you've got an Armenian flag, or where's that country?" And
yeah, it's actually crazy the amount of people who will stop me. And it's not even like, yeah, sure, some of it's like, oh, cool, you've been to a lot of places, but most of them are like, hey, like, we're from here, you know, I'm from Romania, where were you in Romania? And then, you know, we're able to start like a conversation that otherwise wouldn't have been there. And that's actually been kind of the cool part. And I think that was one of the things that I noticed even with these 5 flags, is that there was kind of a conversation starter. And as I was starting to travel more alone, on my own, and yeah, so then I went through and I found a place where, you know, I use backpack flags now, but back then I've just found it, I don't even know I can't remember who I bought them through, but I found a good deal on the flags, and so I just bought all the places I've been, and then started just putting them on my bag. And one of my friends in England was like, ah, look, it's the man with the flag bag. And I thought that was kind of like a catchy name, and it was kind of like a joke and funny. And I think like 2 weeks later, that became my Instagram handle, and something kind of like a differentiator, I guess. So, yeah.
And how many bags have you filled up?
Yeah, this one. So I switched to this most recent bag. So my first bag, I think that was the one I had in Cape Town too, was a brown Eddie Bauer bag that I'd had since, I don't know, 2011. The thing was 5 or 6 years old and been a lot of places with me. And that one was pretty full, but it had no room. It was a terrible camera bag because it was just a backpack. And so I got a brand new camera bag, and then filled that bag. I kind of transferred all the flags over. So working on filling that bag up.
Okay, so you transfer them over onto the new one.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's cool. That's cool.
So, yeah.
That's really, that's a great thing. I know in South Africa a big thing is people camping in caravans.
Yeah.
It's a caravan into Toba. It's not like the States where you've got those Winnebago type things. You literally hook it behind your car like a trailer, and off you go, and you get to the spot, and you pitch your tent in the front, and you've got your whole thing. And a lot of the people have got the same story. They've got stickers. I've been to the Kalahari and Kruger National Park, and I've been to George and Cape Town, and they've all got the stickers down the back of the caravans, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's kind of it's a fun way to kind of personalize it, and for me, it's always a good reminder of, you know, that I've been very lucky and blessed to be able to do the things that I've done, and to not really take that for granted. And each flag has a different memory for me. And so, yeah, every time I look at it, it brings me a good feeling. And so, yeah.
What has been some of your most memorable places that you've been?
Yeah, not just because you're from Cape Town or you're based in Cape Town, but Cape Town was beyond anything that I think I could have expected, from overall like variation and beauty. And I mean, the camera course, the night course that we did together that you instructed, I was absolutely incredible. And we did some shark diving and Boulders Beach with the penguins. And I love mountains, and the way that, you know, from the coast, everything just rises up in Cape Town. uh, is just stunning to me. And so I did really love Cape Town. And then I'm fascinated with the North, with the Arctic. And the first time I went there was actually, so I was in Russia. I was studying in Moscow, and when we first got to Moscow, they were kind of going over the rules, what we're allowed to do, who we have to contact before we travel, etc. And the guy goes, and don't get the idea that any of you are like going to wander off, up to Murmansk, which is the largest city north of the Arctic Circle in Russia. And we all kind of laughed about it. Well, 2 months later, I was buying a ticket up there to Murmansk. I just kind of figured, like, why not? The ticket is pretty cheap because we went like third class, which is a whole new story in and of itself.
What's that guy's name? The Machine, that comedian that tells the story about how he went to Russia for a school trip and he got stuck in this train with his Russian mafia guys, and they were just drinking vodka. Have you heard that?
No, yeah, you'll have to send that to me.
Dude, listen, go onto YouTube and you simply type in The Machine. It will come up like first 5 searches. You'll have it.
Okay. And I'll have to look that up.
What's the comedian's name? I'm going to tell you now. So I watched one of his specials the other night. Let me find it here quickly. I think it's Bert. And he always does his show without a shirt.
That way he calls himself the Machine.
Yeah. Bert Kreischer. Kreischer, yes, I think it's Kreischer.
Yeah. Okay. I'll have to look him up.
Let's let this focus. Come on.
Yeah. Hey, big boy. Okay. Yeah.
That's his latest comedy special, but you must go listen to the one about the Machine.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like I could unfortunately or fortunately relate with that.
You went up to this little town in the north, so what happened?
Yeah, so it was a 37-hour train ride to begin with, which to me is like, that was kind of the whole reason to do the trip. But we were up there, and I remember the further north we went, it was end of March. There's still a ton of snow on the ground, but it was getting a bit warmer, so it wasn't, these minus 40-degree weather. Mm-hmm. And the emptiness, there was nothing. And it was different than the emptiness. I mean, from Colorado, there's a lot of emptiness around me too. But this emptiness, I don't know, it felt different. I don't know if it was because, my own, it probably was my own romantic way of looking at it, but I was so struck with it. And then the light, I won't forget the light and the way that the clouds kind of felt like. It felt like you were, I don't know if you have space, heaven, whatever you want to call it here, and earth here, you felt like you were just close to it. And the moments kind of just stuck with me. And so since then, I went up to northern Norway with my parents and saw the Northern Lights for the first time, which was an absolutely stunning spectacle. And I'm drawn to these cold, harsh landscapes, and also the people that live there. I find it fascinating. These people that make these places home, and how they survive and what they do.
Yeah, that's one of the places, because snow is such a scarce thing in South Africa. We do get a little bit of snow, and it comes to every now and again you're lucky and it falls low enough that we can actually go to it. But that's something I've always wanted. Like Iceland. I know Iceland has been traveling to death from all over the world, and you probably are going to have to fight somebody to get your tripod in the space to get a picture. But I still want to see it. I really still want to see Iceland. And then I think Russia is a very underutilized country in terms of travel for all these things. Because Russia is just so big. There's so much can be seen and experienced there must be amazing.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't let the over traveled bit of Iceland like deter you. It's stunning. It's really pretty. It's really amazing. And yeah, Russia, like I love Russia. Loved it since I started studying Russian and went there the first time. And there's so much to see. And it's not like, the problem is it gets a bad rap for being not easy to travel, because if you don't read or speak any sort of a language with the Cyrillic alphabet, then it can be quite intimidating. And English also is not a widely spoken language there. But with that being said, I think that kind of adds to the excitement a bit of going and exploring and really like kind of stepping out of your comfort zone.
And how easy is it to use stuff like Google Translate to get around?
Yeah, so if you obviously if you're not like in kind of a face-to-face conversation, but you need to go somewhere, you need to go somewhere, and you can type it out and have it ready, then yeah. My experience there has been that people are more willing and more able to help you than I think than they get credit for, to be honest. At least, from like Western Europe and the US, like Russia's always seen as cold, and no one will help you if you need help and things like that. And obviously I spoke the language, so that helped, but I still think that they're happy to help outsiders, and Google Translate will obviously make a huge difference.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, that's definitely really high up on my bucket list to see one day. But not just and it's like Europe. There's places in Europe that I want to see. I want to see the Colosseum in Rome, and I want to see Venice. But I want to go there, look at it, take a picture, and maybe touch it, because I firmly believe in when you touch all things like that, you're touching time.
Yeah.
It's the only place where you can physically touch time.
Yeah.
And that's it. I've got no inkling to fight with 10,000 people to either get the same photos that they've got, or just to say that I want to say that I've been here, I've seen it, but it's not right. I would rather, if you take Italy for instance, I would rather rent a car, drive up into the countryside, and go to these little villas where the people still live like they did 300 years ago. I would much rather want to see that than go and stand in a queue at some tourist destination.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that wholeheartedly. Europe has kind of been my passion since I was young. I loved European history and found it always so interesting. And now I've been in Germany now. I've definitely seen more places in Germany than my girlfriend, who's was born and raised here. And my favorite thing to do though in Europe is to rent a car. If I can, like if it's possible, then I'll do that 100%. Last year in September, we rented a car from Florence and drove around Tuscany. And I'd been to Florence and Tuscany 3 times or 2 times before that without a car. And having a car and driving through these little villas and these old towns was second to none. I mean, it's truly just the way to do it.
Yeah, so previously you were with a tour group with a bus and all that kind of stuff.
No, I was still on my own, but I was still dependent on public transportation. So,
Okay.
When 4:15 rolls around and your train's leaving, you're gone. Whereas if you have a car and you find something that you love, then it doesn't matter if you are done at 2 or if you're done at 10 o'clock at night and you move on to your hotel. So, and I think for someone like you, with your photography talent and all that you do, like would absolutely maximize having a car and being able to take your time where you want to, and then not take your time where you've lost interest, right?
But also, if you do that kind of stuff, you must go with a specific thing in mind. You must either go to eat and drink and do that, or you must go and do it for the photography side. Once you get, because that's one of the hardest things to do, is once you've in a nice place, with a good vibe and a nice atmosphere, right now, okay, I need to get up now because I want to catch sunset at that particular spot. So yeah, you need to go either to take photos or to party.
Yeah, yeah. That's been a point of I won't say almost contention between my girlfriend and I on some trips, because I'm like watching the setting sun, thinking, "Oh, I can get some really cool photos," and we're sitting having a nice drink or eating someplace that's like nice, and we're enjoying the company, and so it's been good. It's been a learning experience for me to put the camera away and just let myself enjoy the sunset and enjoy the moment and be in the company. And then sometimes I'm like, hey, this is what I really want to do. I want to walk around at sunset and shoot. I just want to shoot, and so that's what we'll do. So it's actually been a good balance.
Does she shoot as well?
Yeah, she does.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's definitely super fun.
Yeah, that makes it a lot easier, because especially if she is also interested in the same kind of stuff that you are doing, then it makes it a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
And all right, what other projects are you working on? What's coming up after the whole COVID-19 thing?
Yeah, so I'll wait until I can start traveling again, obviously. But right now, my girlfriend and I were actually working on a project where it's called Social Fabric, and
I saw that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and so it's focusing on the role that small businesses play, and we're looking at our neighborhood, without being able to travel. So, yeah, we wanted to do something different, something that makes that we felt could make an impact. And for the small businesses that are in our area is quite unique for its diversity and its small businesses, even in a city like Berlin. And so that's what we set out to do. We've filmed 6 businesses here. It's again a passion project.
You just knock on the door and say, "Hi, this is what I want to do. Would you be interested?"
Yeah, that emails. And when there was a couple businesses that we really wanted to film, and when they didn't respond to our emails after like 2 days, we went and knocked on the door. And
to do it.
Yeah, this is what we're doing, and our goal. So for each business, we also made for free just a 1.5 to 2.5 minute short video for them, saying hey, we're open, or this is how we're staying in business, and this is what we're doing right now, so that we can continue to support our customers and support the neighborhood. And then from all of those videos, we're now turning it into it'll probably be about 15-minute short film that will focus more on the role that small businesses play in our lives. I think that for us anyways, we took that for granted. And then all of a sudden when COVID hit, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't go to the local coffee shop that we always go to. Or, we can't sit outside at a restaurant and enjoy a nice meal, or the tailor's closed, or, whatever it may be. And we realized how important these small businesses were for not just for us as consumers, but for the neighborhood and for our whole entire area. And it's the reason why people, when tourists come, if they come to our area, which isn't, top on the list, but that's why they come. And so it's kind of a bit more about raising awareness and helping to demonstrate that the COVID, I think, has been hard on all of us. And for businesses, there's there's an added layer of complexity and stress and dealing with rules and regulations and all of that I think that no one really noticed.
I had a meeting with a client this morning, a possible future client, and when I got into his car, it's like, okay, do I touch you? Do you want to touch the elbow? Do you want to shake hands?
Yeah.
You might be wearing a mask, not wear a mask. It's just weird.
Yeah. So we're excited about that. Hopefully the goal is to have that done next week. We're finishing some last rounds of filming and kind of filling out the rest of the story. And
also, I presume you're doing this with for free, obviously, and then possibly get some paid work from these guys afterwards.
Yeah, that's definitely one. For like looking towards the future, we now have a collection of 6 more videos that we didn't have that can be used as like corporate explainers, to then offer future businesses, or even these businesses that we've worked with. We've applied for a couple different grants for the project, and we're waiting to hear back on those. And then we'll send it off to some film festivals and local media stations, and we'll see. But it was one of those things where we felt strongly enough about the project that we said, let's start, and we'll worry about the money and things like that as we go along.
I always say that the money will come.
And that's been my experience. Like, if you don't start and you just go after the money, it makes it a lot harder.
I'm also working on a little, myself and the other people that's involved with me, is also a little something like that, that I want to put out, especially, and we'll probably have it ready by the end of the weekend, hopefully. It's also just a 1-minute little video clip, but I don't want to say too much. I can probably say nobody's going to be able to put it together before we do it anyway. So a lot of my work is done in the agricultural sector, and in South Africa, the farmers is generally frowned upon, yet everybody buys the food in the shops. And we're putting like a little clip together saying that support agriculture in this time, because this is where the food comes from. And even though, because a large part of South Africa's fresh produce, like fruits, mostly grapes, citrus, apples, pears, all those things, are grown here for the export market. But it brings a huge influx of income for South Africa that's being spent here. The people are buying properties here with it. They're buying their own food here with it, putting in fuel into their cars and their tractors and everything. So yet we might not be seeing the most prettiest fruit on our shelves, but we're getting the financial benefit from it from the overseas countries.
That sounds amazing. Where are you releasing it, or?
No, once it's finished, I'll put it up onto my Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn.
Wicked! I can't wait to see it.
It's something I said to them. We need to create something that shows agriculture in this time. And yes, it's exactly like what you're doing. We're doing it as a future marketing thing. We can, if the thing picks up a bit of traction and gets shared, which I think it could very possibly be. It opens up more doors. But you never know who might see it and say, give you a phone call, say, listen, Dewald, we saw this cool video. We want something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was talking with a photographer who, she now does like some paid work with National Geographic and things like that. And her message was, do what you're passionate about and learn to do it well. And like, the people will come, the money will come. And, but once, I thought that was like, for me, that was a pretty like powerful message that, me included, I think a lot of us are always worried about, getting to a National Geographic or having our stuff featured at, the largest brands or whatever like that. And then we shoot, to fit what we think they're looking for, instead of doing what we're passionate about and shooting the things and telling the stories that we want to tell, and getting creative with how we make money doing that along the way, but trusting that your own individual voice will make a difference.
And don't overcomplicate things. It's easy for us to say now, because we've been doing this for a while, is that you get these youngsters coming out of school and they think they're going to be the next Sports Illustrated swimwear photographer. No, it's not going to happen. The guy shooting that stuff has been doing it for 20 odd years. There's certain things that you will never be able to replace from him, and his experience. They come out of school and they think, everything must just be given to them. It's work, and if you don't put in that hard work, then if I started doing photography when I was living in Cape Town itself, I would have been way ahead of where I am now, but also I would have been in a totally different place as well. Where I'm situated now, I live an hour outside of Cape Town. I'm right here where my work is with the agricultural scene. And that's what I love to do. It's super interesting. You meet amazing people, and yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I think that, you can tell when I look at your work that's like what you're passionate about. And that's something that was the reason I signed up for your class on astrophotography. In general, just that you could see that there was something different. And I think that that's your passion that comes into it. And that's something that I think is also really hard, especially with Instagram. So you see all these people who have 500,000, 1 million followers, and you're like, all right, if I want to have success, I need to copy them. And on a daily basis, I'm constantly telling myself, no, like, you need to be you. You need to tell the stories that you want to tell.
And now with this whole lockdown thing, those Instagram influencers, if you want to call them that, they were down in the dumps. I've seen posts of some of the guys I follow that's if you want to call them influencers, they've got a good following and all sorts of stuff. And some of them were taking lots of, they were having a very hard time during this whole thing. It's because they're not used to this.
Yeah.
It's like a friend of mine said, it's not so bad for us to have been in lockdown because us is actually working our asses off. We used to sitting behind a computer for 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
We don't go out and just go and create one image for social media that will get you a couple of hundreds of shares.
Yeah. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Oh.
But I think the lockdown, at least for us, like, we wouldn't be telling this story about like the local businesses here, and something that, we're both really passionate about had it not been for that. And so, I think in many ways it's been good for me. It's offered me an opportunity to reevaluate where I am as a photographer, where I want to go, what I need to do to get there, to have conversations with people like you and other photographers, and reach out to people and build up my own knowledge, and try and learn and grow.
The people that didn't innovate or start working on something during this lockdown, doesn't matter what country it is, they are going to fall behind, because this was the ideal time now to start working on that thing that you really wanted to have done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's awesome. All right, we're coming up on 2 hours. Anything else you want to discuss? I've got time.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen from I'm curious how you handle commercial projects versus passion projects and balancing time, because you're obviously, you're very accomplished, and I'm curious how you handle that.
Balancing time is always difficult, because I've got three young kids. Oldest is 7 and the youngest is now 3 months old, so it's difficult. You can't just jump in the car and go chase after the sunset. You need to keep that kind of stuff in mind. I need to help them with the bath and making dinner and putting them to bed and all those kind of things. So in terms of managing time, that's one of the first things I've got to keep in mind when I especially at passion type projects. If you've got paying clients, then it's a little bit different, because then there's not an excuse. There's a reason to go out and do the job. But passion, my passion comes with the landscape photography, and I'm not going to be that guy that has to be out there every sunset and every sunrise to have something to put on Instagram. If I've been lucky where I've seen, and I've got a couple of nice spots around that, if the conditions is right, I'll head out. But then sunset will be at like 6, and I'll jump in a car at 5:15, because I know I can get in 10-15 minutes, get set up and shoot, and then 10, 15 minutes after sunset's over, back in the car, and 2 hours later, I'm back home. That's one of the things. Otherwise, I will, if we go away for a weekend or holiday, or even if I do work for clients, I'll always, if I've got to do work for a client in another town or whatever, I'll always look what is around that could be photographed before I go there. I'll do my research, and I'll see it, right. I might have an afternoon open at that time, and then I'll go and shoot it. Even if it's not the best sunset or the prettiest clouds, or I will go and I'll go shoot just to get that thing in my portfolio. But yeah, it's commercial clients always gets the preferential treatment, and I'm lucky that a lot of my clients they give me like carte blanche. They'll say to me, right, I want, pretty similar to you, I want this kind of look and feel, and you've got free reign to go and do what you want. Or they'll say to me, Dewald, we haven't got a creative bone in our body, come up with an idea for me. So then that's what I like. I like that creative process, is to sit and figure out something that might look cool for them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great answer, yeah.
And then the difficult part is once you get the order. It's the biggest kick I get in my business is if the client tells you, right, you can go ahead, you've got the job. And then like a day later, it's like, oh shit, okay, right, I actually need to go do this now.
Now the work begins.
Yeah. Fake it till you make it is a good thing. If somebody says to you, can you do this for me? You look at it and you think, I'll say to them, I haven't done it yet, but I certainly want to try.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's like a layer of honesty with a lot of optimism, and also like trust in your own abilities that you can make it happen.
Honesty is the biggest thing, because the last thing you want to client to say to him, listen, I can do this, and then the shit hits the fan, and you've got to say to him, sorry, I can't do it.
First time, sorry.
If you can't do it, and you say to him, listen, I cannot do that. Then at least they will know. But also, if you say to them, you can't do it, give them a solution. Say to them, I can't do it, but Christopher, he's your guy.
Yeah.
He will sort you out with this. He's been there, he's done it, he's got some of that stuff in the portfolio. I would recommend going with him, because at the end of the day, that client will still come. The chance is good that he will come back to me saying, Dewald, right, now I need this.
Yeah.
And then I go and do that for him.
Yeah. Nothing burns bridges faster than being dishonest. So.
What's the one thing that you refuse to photograph?
Fashion. I don't, fashion's not my forte, strangely enough, but if I don't know if there's anything I would say, like I would refuse to photograph. Pornography would probably be like a pretty easy one for me to say, but a more interesting one is like fashion. Yeah, fashion I would not consider one of my fortes. It's not something that I developed over the years, and not something that I feel like comfortable shooting. So.
I don't photograph babies.
Interesting.
If I get an inquiry for any sort of babies, I don't even photograph my own kids. I do a little bit here and there, but it's generally the thing is that with my own children, it's by the time you've got the camera set up with the right lens and everything, they're done doing whatever they were doing. And if people pay you to photograph babies, it is horrible. I promise you, I'd rather shoot 2 weddings back to back than photograph a newborn baby.
That's funny. Yeah, I haven't had that experience. I've shot my brother's kids and stuff as babies, but yeah, I can't imagine a studio setup with a baby. Forget it.
It's difficult. It's
really,
really difficult. And if you do those newborn shoots with the pretty hands folded and the flowers on the head, what they don't tell you is that room is like 40 degrees Celsius, because the baby's naked. He will get cold in a heartbeat. So it feels like you're shooting in the middle of the Kalahari in summer.
Yeah. That's funny. All right. Well, I'll keep that in mind. It doesn't sound like babies would be one thing I'd want to shoot either.
Another question I had for you is, do you do any stock photography?
Yeah. I mean, there's a Berlin-based company called IM.
Yeah.
And I've been loading stuff up on there, but I haven't actually, I feel like this is from my impression without having done it, but I feel like if you want to be successful in stock photography, you kind of have to shoot for stock photography. And so I've never really had success with stock photography. So, and you? Yeah, you shoot stock photography, right?
Yeah. The stuff that you have uploaded there, how many images is it, and what type of images?
So I've uploaded 85 total so far, and the majority of them have focused more on architecture or travel destination type stuff.
Okay.
So, yeah, to be honest with you, I had my first picture sale. I started uploading on this website probably 6 months ago, I think, and I had my first image sell. And I think I made 66 cents or something like that because it sold through one of the partners, and I don't know, somebody had one of their plans or whatever, and I was like, the amount of photos I would have to add up. So, but yeah.
Yeah, look, I do quite a bit of stock photography, and here in South Africa, especially now, that's been my main income because I couldn't shoot anything else. And
yeah,
total income for me on stock photography a month is about anything between $300 and $500.
Yeah,
which is in South African rands terms is not bad.
Yeah, I mean that's just repeated income for you. And do you find you're selling most of your landscapes or?
Varies. I've got it honestly varies. I've got lots of shoots that was done for the purposes of uploading it to stock, and some of them do well, some of them don't. Then I've got images that I shot when I was on shoots for clients. Simple stuff, really simple stuff. It's something that took me. I saw something, took a shot. 2 minutes later, and it's a non-descriptive thing of so if you look at the image, you can't say, right, this was shot at that client's place.
Yeah.
It'll be either maybe just hands or of something, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And upload those kind of things, and some of them has done really well for me.
Interesting.
So it's not something that cost me money to do.
Yeah.
It is, and often the clients will book me for still shoots. So they will book me for a still shoot, and then something would happen. Also, again, non-descriptive, because I can't sell a client's brand image on the internet.
Yeah.
So and then I will switch it over to video, and I'll shoot 10-15 seconds of video of that whatever's happening, and then I'll upload to stock. And some of that kind of stuff is also done pretty well for me.
Do you find that you make more money with photo or video?
At this stage, it is. It's myself and a friend of mine. We've partnered up with the video side, so both of us shoot and upload. I do the majority because he's still got a day job, so I've got more time to go and shoot. So we split it 50-50, but I will simply edit it and upload it. He does all the keywording and metadata and all that kind of stuff again.
All right, that's a good partnership.
Yeah, it's a video footage has got really good potential. But I know Shutterstock has brought in some new changes from the beginning of this month, and the whole stock photography world is up in arms about it. They've literally changed the payment structure overnight, and they gave a week notice that this is going to happen. Basically, Shutterstock at earning level. So if you start out, you would get 25 cents US for a normal subscription sale, and then there's a bit more on-demand downloads. So if they want to use it for whatever, I don't know exactly how they do that. You get a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So I was on the highest tier already. I've earned more than $10,000 lifetime with stock.
Wow.
It was on the highest tier at that stage. Look, it took me 10 years to get here.
Yeah.
And I was literally on there for a month and they changed it. So now it's going to start from zero each year. So if you've 1 to 500 sales, you earn 15%. 500 to 1,000 sales, you earn 20%. So it increases the sales you get. So the potential is there that if you've got a good portfolio with lots of sales, you'll run through the ranks like quickly.
Yeah.
But if you've got a very crappy portfolio, you're going to be stuck at that low end for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
So I think the main reason for it is because so on these the forums and the Facebook groups and everything, there's a lot of guys from Eastern Europe and Pakistan and India and Indonesia, all of these guys with a cell phone camera that's just dumping tons and tons of images on Shutterstock and is watering down the system.
Yeah.
So I think this is a way to get them out of the equation a little bit and get the guys with good quality stuff to rank higher and sell better.
Yeah. So I would love to see your portfolio to see like an idea of what you've been selling and how I could better adapt myself for stock photography. I like the idea of it. I mean, I really like the idea of it. An extra 100.
Just going through your Instagram, a lot of the stuff you've got on there is very sell-worthy stock images.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll be curious. I'll send you my IM, my IM where I have my stock photos up. And like I said, there's not a ton. There's 85. But yeah, if you could offer any feedback or any things to improve or anything like that.
You can be your own model. Just look at the image you sent me. You can just
with the camera.
Yeah, you just clone out all the logos and upload it. So, for instance, I've had it like that image there. Something like that. It's even with your bag and all your flags and everything on it. It will show travel, and this could be anywhere in Europe.
Yeah, interesting.
And the thing with stock is I think people overthink it.
That's me.
I've got we made kombucha a while ago, and we had like glass mason jars that we brewed the stuff in. And then one afternoon, I said to my wife, when we were going to make a new batch, I said, I just want to photograph this quickly. It took me literally 10 minutes to shoot the whole process of putting in the tea and the cup of sugar, put the SCOBY back in, cover it with a little doily, and you stick it away. That's it. She didn't pause or pose or anything with it. I literally shot the process. And then I uploaded a step-by-step how to make kombucha. And it didn't cost me a single cent except for the 20 minutes max it took me to photograph it, edit, export it.
Yeah.
And you give all of them the same keywords, so that didn't take long.
Yeah.
Also, I've had a good couple of them where somebody bought the whole set.
Interesting.
Because it's a step-by-step on how to make it. People use it on blogs and food blogs and magazine articles and wherever the story is.
Yeah. We do that a lot. My girlfriend loves to bake, and so that could be a super easy way, an interesting way to do that. All right. Yeah. No, I appreciate that.
But just tell her that in case you guys break up in 5 years or 10 years, or 20 years, that she can't phone you and tell you must take it off.
Yeah. I'll make sure.
It sounds stupid to say that, but I've had clients that phone me I done shoot with clients. And I said, listen, okay, right, we've got couples here that's together in your photos. Do they give you permission? They're not going to come around 2 years down the line and say, listen, we split up. I don't want to be seen on him on a photo with him anymore. Well, I said, you must make 100% sure with the people you use for your shoots that that's not going to be an issue later on.
Sound advice. Sound advice.
I've had a long time ago. I was just in the beginning of my photography career. I did a shoot with a girl. It was for like what you would call senior portraits, that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And she was dating a guy, and then one afternoon I get a knock on my door. It's him. He says he wants to chat to me. I said, okay, what can I help you with? He says, no. The two of them, for the fun of it, went and Googled their names. So all these images of her that I've uploaded on my website pops up. And he wants me to take it down because it's on Google. I said, dude, that's not how it works. It's on my website. So it's not there in the sphere of the internet for free for people to find and stalk her or whatever.
Yeah.
It's literally on my website. So if you click on an image, Dewald.Kirsten.co.za will open up. And he couldn't understand that. Where?
So did you delete him then? Or just give yourself the hassle, just left him?
No, I just left him as is. I had a guy phone me one day, and I did their wedding a couple of years ago, and this was like 3 years after the wedding. He phones me out of the blue, this guy, saying that now his wife has a stalker, and they've had like court orders against this guy and God knows what else as well. And I must please remove their wedding photos from my blog. But there was, I can tell you now, there was something else about that story. That wasn't just like a courtesy kind of, please remove them off. There was something else there. I couldn't put my finger on it. He was a dodgy character from the word go.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, but it's the stuff that we've got to deal with, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think you never like really believe it, and then it happens. You're like, son of a, okay. This is now my problem too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's, as soon as you start working with people, also, it's
always
a new line of issues somewhere along the line.
Yeah. Your job is never done.
But take it for instance, get back to the stock stuff, is that like that project you're busy doing with these guys now, the local businesses. If there's something interesting in there, and you photograph and film it to a way that it's nondescript. Again, let's say it's a pizzeria, you photograph them filming and making the pizza dough and putting the toppings on, all that kind of stuff. All that stuff is sellable. And you say to them, listen, it's for free, but these kind of clips and images, I would like to repurpose and sell it again afterwards. Yeah. Because then at least you've got the potential of covering some of the costs involved with that.
Yeah, that's true.
There's guys that I know that's making between $5,000 and $7,000 a month on stock.
See, I've heard about that, and this was my first foray into stock photography, and it was just all of a sudden I hit a point where I was like, you know what, maybe not. But this has been good. It's given me some things to think about, ways I can improve my own stock photography, but also then make some. That's kind of the dream, to have this stable income that is in a range, but you can almost expect it every month.
Just do a simple search. Go into Shutterstock. I think they're the biggest, so you'll get a really good idea. And just go search for a place that you have traveled to, and just see what travel images is available for that. If you get there and it's a popular place, like let's say that circle route in Iceland, you're probably going to get 10,000 images.
Yeah.
But then it might be a place in, like that town in Moscow that you're talking about.
Yeah.
If you've got images for that, you go and you search for that town in Moscow, you say, oh, well, there's only like 2 or 3 pages.
Yeah.
So the chance of having something sell is better than, now it might not be that people were looking for stuff like that every single day for that particular town,
Yeah.
but you never know.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah, and with the right like meta tags and data and stuff, someone could repurpose that photo for something else.
And the nice thing about Shutterstock is they've got a keywording tool. So if you go on and you upload the stuff, where you're going to click to go to the submit section, they've got a keywording tool. You click on there, and you say, right, type in a keyword associated with this. So let's say, take for instance, Cape Town. If you type in Cape Town, South Africa in your search term, it will drop down a heap of Cape Town images, and we'll say choose 3 images that's similar to yours. So you choose 3, and we'll give you the top 30 keywords that's associated with all that's in. It will give you the 30 keywords that's in all 3 images.
Interesting.
So you upload it. So you've got and Shutterstock does it. Back in call it like 3 years ago, you had to physically go and type in Cape Town, South Africa, and Shutterstock findings, and you literally copy the keywords and you paste it into yours.
That's fantastic.
So they knew that people were doing it, so they just brought in that tool for it.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. I'm taking good notes. Don't want to forget. Too many concussions.
No, but you can always ask. I'll gladly help with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, let me take a look at this, and then I'll probably
spread it out. I know is you can either get a big sale or you can get a ton of tiny sales on there.
Yeah.
You want that consistent. It can be small amounts, but you want a consistent amount of sales.
For sure.
And Shutterstock has always been a good one. And look, it's going to take some getting used to this new structure they've got. But then Adobe, if you've got the Adobe Creative Cloud,
yeah,
then you're already qualified as a stock submitter with it.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
With Adobe, you don't have to go through the whole being approved process and everything. And your return per image on average is better on Adobe than what it is in Shutterstock.
Okay. I was curious about that.
Yeah, so the nice thing about Adobe is it integrates with all their software. So if you've got Photoshop or Premiere, whatever, there's always a tab where you can simply click and you open up the stock and you can get images from there.
Yeah, I've noticed that, which is super helpful.
So a lot of designers will use that for content and for videos.
Nice. How often do you upload to stock?
When I get a chance. So between shooting for clients and everything, it normally goes 2 or 3 months in between uploads. So I'll get a big bunch and I'll dump it on and I'll keyword it. The nice thing about Adobe and these guys is that if you upload it, it stays there, but Shutterstock deletes it after 21 days. So if you upload to Shutterstock, you need to keyword and submit it within 21 days. With Adobe, you can leave it there for 6 months and only do it there.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's really helpful.
And footage. Don't throw away footage. If you shoot 4K footage and you upload that, you can earn anything between $150 and $300 per sale.
That's crazy.
It's good money. You sell 10 of those things, 10 video clips is $3,000.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. That is a lot of money.
Cool.
Awesome.
Right. Okay. I think we need to call this a day.
Sounds good.
Help the wife with the kids and everything.
Yeah.
Christopher, it's really been cool chatting to you.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed this. It's been really great catching up. And
if hopefully you can come to South Africa again soon. I don't know when I'm going to be in Berlin or Europe. If you come back here, please let me know, and then we can go shoot again. I would really love that.
Yeah, I would love that. That would be amazing. Yeah, and if you make it anywhere in Europe, let me know. Who knows? I may be headed that direction anyways. So.
For sure, it's high on the bucket list.
Yeah,
but I need to do a couple more shoots for finances first.
Yeah, I understand.
Cool. Right, all right. Kirsten, have a great evening, and
you're setting all this up, and
thank you for coming on. Thank you.
Awesome. Take care.
Chat to you soon.
Yeah.
All right. Cheerio.
Cheers.
Bye.